Hi, everybody. It's Craig and Arun back with your college basketball Saturday, the 17th of January. This is the biggest day so far this year of college hoops. I believe if I count it right, it's either 21 or 22 ranked games, and we're going to cover all of them. Of course, all we need from you, hit that thumbs up, put in the comments what you like. How about we do a little contest, I see. We give away a week of service to whoever gets right. The last game, the last ranked game on the board is Gonzaga-Seattle. You pick the winner, so probably going to be Gonzaga, and the total number of points, whoever comes closest without going over combined total. So if you think it's 71 to 70, Gonzaga wins, you put Gonzaga 141. You don't have to pick against the spread, just who's going to win and the total number of points scored together. And whoever comes closest without going over will win a week pass from both of us.
So I'm good with that. That sounds good.
Yeah. Now, if you want to get in on our best plays, very simple to do so. Go get into the 2-for-1 pass. Go to docsports.com/Craig Arun, and you'll get the 2-for-1 pass. In college basketball, we have a huge day today. I'm going to have a 3-pack. Been hot heading into this as we're recording this on Friday, 10-2 run the last 4 days. IC's been absolutely number one handicapper on the board, or number two. It's real close, like over 10,000 up in college basketball this year. So you get us both for just $99. docsports.com/Craig Arun. If you like football, we also have some football plays. You can buy the football pass as well. But it's a big day for college hoops to get in on.
I mean, this is the reason for my success. Biscotti.
All right, let's go. First game on the board for UIC. UConn at Georgetown. UConn's favored by 12.5, total 141.5. Coach Hurley's always at the center of some kind of controversy, but his team keeps rolling on. What do you like here?
Yeah, this is going to be a great game. So a couple things here. UConn comes in as a 12.5-point chalk. They're 17-1. They're still ranked in the top 5, number 3. UConn beat them 93-79 last time. So what are we going to see here between these two teams? You know, it's going to be – you'd have to think it's a huge line. The fact that this team only beat Seton Hall by 5 on the road, they had an incredibly difficult game there. Seton Hall really showed up in that ball game. This total came in at 141.5. The question simply is, can Georgetown hang tough against this team at home? And Georgetown lost to Creighton. They lost to Seton Hall. They lost to DePaul, St. John's, and so on and so forth. The way that Georgetown is an active dog is typically through the over. Like that Clemson game went 79-74, and even the Marquette game went to 147 points. And I think that's what happens here. This team had some success against Creighton on the road. I think they're going to come back home. They're going to have some success. Plus, Connecticut only scored 69 points in their last game, too. And I think they're going to shoot much better. They didn't shoot well in the second half in that game. They only shot 3 for 17 from three-point land, 69% from two-point land. You combine an active dog situation here as well with a team that's desperate to pick up a win in Georgetown. I like the over 141.5 between these two teams. Greg, Minnesota is going to hook up against Illinois. Minnesota is 10-7 in overall, 3-3 in the Big Ten. Illinois 14-3, 5-1 in the Big Ten. Who do you like?
You know, I think Illinois is going to win. That's obvious with the spread. The question is, how many's too many? That's, as a handicapper, the great battle that we go with. It's like, you know, okay, at what point, how many should they be laying? I don't think it probably should be this many. I think they should be probably favored about 12.5, 13. But because they've played so good recently, and when I say they, I mean Illinois, they've played really good recently. They've covered 3 straight games, 5 of the last 6. The numbers have to start creeping up. This is just too many points, in my opinion. There's no value at that when you think you're probably having to lay a couple extra points because of that recent success. I think you take Minnesota plus the points here. I know they've lost a couple games in a row, but they lost by 1 to USC, 2 games back at home, and by 3 on that last second shot against Wisconsin. I think on the road tonight, they'll keep it within, or today, this is a noon game, within the big number. Now, the next game we have, of course, another big game. This one's in the ACC. Another 12 o'clock game. Virginia at SMU. Virginia minus 1.5. Total 153.5. And I'm going to be honest. If SMU wins this game, they deserve to be ranked. They've played really well this year, and I think they're right on the cusp. Can Virginia win as the number 16th ranked team in the country?
Yeah, I mean, look, SMU won 54-52 last year coming in this contest. And Virginia, obviously, it's funny. They had a lot of confidence, obviously, in their head coach, and he had been there a long time. Obviously, you know, we're talking about Tony Bennett, and then Tony Bennett decided to leave and just, you know, to kind of take a break. And then came in Ron Sanchez, and that was a disaster. Now comes in Ryan Odom over from VCU in that same neck of the woods, VCU, Virginia, and doing great. Now, look, Ryan Odom has not faced this SMU team this year, okay? He's never faced this SMU team at all. So this team comes off a huge win against Louisville on the road, 79-70. Can they have a letdown? But this team also beat NC State prior to that too. They're a heck of a team, top 20 in offense, top 20 in defense. And then you have an SMU team that rolls in here, coming off a nice win against Virginia Tech, but that was by 1 at home. They were competitive against Clemson and Duke, but fell short. This is going to be a great game. I will tell you this: the problem with SMU at times, though, is that they're outside the top 100 in turnover margin. Virginia's around top 90 or so. Virginia also has a top 20 defense and a top 20 offense. And SMU can be a little leaky on defense, top 75. SMU, don't forget, lost to LSU early this year as well. And, they lost to Clemson by 4. Virginia is the same team that, was phenomenal against Texas and Dayton and so on. Tough game here. But I think, look, it's this coach's first crack against SMU. I'm going to take Virginia on the money line because I just think they're do all the little things better. All right, Craig, moving on. Kentucky, an SEC showdown, my neck of the woods. Kentucky facing Tennessee, 11-6 team here. Kentucky 2-2 in the SEC, huge win recently, a buzzer beater. Tennessee 12-5, 2-2, ranked 24th in the country. And as far as Tennessee coming in as a 6.5-point chalk, who do you like?
Yeah, funny that Kentucky ran the Duke play that Christian Laettner hit. They ran the exact same play to hit that game winner. So it was kind of like deja vu. Obviously, a lot of people weren't alive when that happened back in the 90s.
That's so funny.
But what it was like, well, let's run the Christian Laettner Duke play to beat Kentucky back in the day. Great win. I think that's the kind of win that can kind of put a little pep in your step. And Kentucky kind of needed that because if you look what they did, yes, they had beat Mississippi State at home, but that was all the second half. They were terrible the first half. Before that, against Alabama, they really didn't show a whole lot. And this is not the greatest Tennessee team. That Tennessee team, I think the last couple of years was way better. I think this is a Mark Pope-like game where a lot of people are like, is Mark Pope the right guy? If you can't get your team to keep playing after that, you probably aren't the right guy. Let's take Kentucky in this battle. If people don't know, this is a huge rivalry game. I think Kentucky gets up for this. So does Tennessee. I think it's going to be a great game. Take Kentucky plus the 6.5. Don't forget to like and subscribe and turn on notifications so you don't miss out on all the great content we have here at Doc Sports. Now, next game, Butler at Seton Hall. It's another noon game. It's at Seton Hall. Seton Hall has been pretty good at home. They're favored by 6.5 here, total 142.5. I think this is danger. I always say that 5 to 6.5 is like danger for underdogs. That's when I'm always looking at the underdog. What do you like in this matchup?
Well, Butler's 10-7, and they're 1-5 in conference play. Seton Hall, of course, 14-3. When you look at just the record standpoint, Seton Hall's had a heck of a season so far. I mean, Shaheen Holloway has really turned this team around from, especially last year. I think they had single digits in wins. So now Butler comes in here. They throttled this team 84-54 and 82-77. And Seton Hall remembers those ugly losses, right? They're not going to forget that. And, Butler's obviously coached by Thad Matta here. They were 15-20 last year. They're better this year, 10-7. But, yeah, obviously, when you don't have the NIL money, that kind of affects you. 4 straight losses for this team as well. Lost by 14 points to Xavier. Their biggest win of the year is against Providence and Northwestern, but both of them were kind of semi-home games. They did beat Virginia, which was a monster win, but they've kind of struggled lately, right? And kind of a mixture of upperclassmen, underclassmen here, but Seton Hall, at the end of the day, lost to Connecticut at home by 5 points. I don't think they'll lose back-to-back games. Connecticut shot 3 for 17 from that game from three-point land, but Seton Hall was even worse. They shot 1 for 16 from three-point land last game, which is, less than, obviously, they shot 6% from three-point land. That's not going to help you win, and you still almost won that game. I think they'll shoot much better. Same team that beat Creighton not too long ago, beat Kansas State. They're top 10 in defense. Give me the team here that's going to bust out from a 1-16 performance in three-point land. They also have a massive revenge angle, too, from the previous years. Let me go ahead and take Seton Hall minus the 6.5. All right, Craig, my Alabama Crimson Tide, 5.5-point chalk on the road against Oklahoma. These two teams just don't meet in football. They're meeting in college basketball as well. 12-5, 2-2 in the SEC. Pretty generous ranking for my Crimson Tide, even though with 5 losses. Oklahoma, 11-6, 1-3 in the SEC. Who do you like here?
Yeah, I know you like Alabama, but I'm going to say you like them because they're an analytic-driven team like you. Like there's no Coach Oaks is he was a math high school teacher, and he turned that into what it is now. He literally did this at high school, then moved up through the college ranks.
I'm very impressed you knew that.
Yeah, he's a super analytical guy. That's why they shoot so many threes and not a lot of mid-range. And he's built his team like that, and it's definitely worked. I like what this team is this year. Now, are they as good as the last couple of years? No. I think but they have enough talent to beat anybody on a given day, and they can get beat on any given day. That makes them a little better value because if they were that team of last year, this line would be 9.5 points. Instead, it's 5.5. This is an Oklahoma team that's lost a few in a row. That's just scratch your head. I thought they'd beat Florida. That was coming off a big win. I thought Florida would have a little letdown on Oklahoma. They were never in that game. I think Alabama hands them their lunch here. Give me Alabama minus 5.5. I know it's public favorite here, but it just sometimes public favorites win. Next game, Iowa State at Cincinnati. Biggest game in Cincinnati in a little while. Number 2 ranked Iowa State. Now, they will not be number 2 next week because they lost to Kansas already, and the rankings haven't come out yet. But I don't think they'll fall very much if they beat Cincinnati here. For people that don't know, Wes Miller is like, I mean, it can't be any hotter seat. I mean, literally people are showing up at games with bags on their head. Iowa State minus 6.5 total, 139.5. Can Wes Miller save his job? Because this is the kind of win that could save someone's job.
It can. Iowa State's won 3 in a row coming in. Obviously, Iowa State coming off that ugly 63-84 loss against Kansas, their worst loss of the year. Wes Miller is facing the hot seat, sure, but who are you going to get that's better than Wes Miller at Cincinnati? Cincinnati's a great place to coach.
They had this guy named Bob Huggins. I don't know if you know.
They did. And then he went to West Virginia.
No, we fired him. That was the problem.
Oh, yeah.
I
mean, you guys thought because West was younger that he was better, but
no, he was drinking. He was drinking on the job.
Well, I mean, you and I drink on the job. I mean, why can't Bob Huggins drink on this job? Top 5 deep. My grandfather always said you can always trust a man who drinks because at some point he'll always tell you.
I mean, I love Bob Huggins. I would take him back right now.
Top 5 defense, top 20 offense here in Iowa State. Bad loss against Kansas, their only loss this year. Cincinnati, of course, comes in winning a big game against Colorado, but that was their first conference win. I don't think they back it up with back-to-back efforts. They're outside the top 200 offense. They're outside the top. They are top 10 in defense, but this to me is a no-brainer. I'm taking Iowa State minus the 6.5. I wouldn't put a ton on it, but it does make sense here. I think Iowa State does make a lot of sense here. All right, Craig, Florida here, SEC tilt. I like Vanderbilt too, but Florida on the road against Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt coming in as a 3.5-point favorite. Florida's 12-5, defending champions, 3-1 in conference play. Vanderbilt 16-1, 3-1 in conference play. Once again, Vandy's favored by 3.5. Who do you like?
I mean, I like what Florida has done the last 3 games. Now, they beat one good team of those 3. Tennessee was a very good team, and they pounded them at home by 24. The other 2, Georgia and Oklahoma, they did what we expected them to do. They were 7.5, 9-point favorites. They win by double digits. Now we're going to see. Rubber meets the road here. And Vandy's in the same spot. Vandy lost at Texas. So, yes, you start the year 16-0. You lose on the road at Texas. It really wasn't that close. We even called it, actually, in the video. But now you come a bounce-back spot. And this is like you got the champs from last year. Vandy, this is a build-your-program type win. Not saying that, like, Florida's like top 10 team because I really don't think. I think they're a 10 to 15 ranked team. But it's like you beat the champs. It's just sending a message to all of college basketball, all the recruits that you wanted, the NIL. And I think they do so tonight. Vandy minus 3, 3.5. I even see some 4s out there. I don't care. I think Vandy somewhat embarrasses them and puts a little statement. They said, put some respect on my name, son. Let's take Vandy minus the points. Next game, Miami at Clemson. Of course, everybody's talking about Miami football because they're in the championship game on Monday. But don't look now. Miami's 15-2, not ranked yet. But if they win this game at Clemson, I'm sure they're going to be ranked. Clemson's favored by 4.5 total, 145.5. What do you like here?
Yeah, Miami has very quietly become 15-2. And Jay Lucas in his first year, give him a lot of credit. Give him a ton of credit. But who is their biggest win? That's why they're not ranked. They beat Notre Dame 81-69. They beat Wake Forest, Pittsburgh. But all these teams your biggest win is actually Mississippi. And when they beat them by 9 on the road, they lost to BYU by 10, which that's pretty impressive. And they lost to Florida by 14. So they can make a statement here. The only problem is they're a terrible free throw shooting team outside the top 280. But they are an excellent offensive and defensive team, top 15 in the nation in offensive rebounding, top 20 in effective field goal percentage. Clemson rolls in, though, pretty hot team, having won 8 in a row. Clemson's also 5-0 in conference play, top 20 defense as well. Brad Bromwell always has a pretty good team there, too. How will they do against a top 25 team? In my opinion, like Miami, or top 30 team, if you will. I think Miami's going to do really well. Miami really needs this game to make a statement. You know, the funny thing is Clemson also lost to Alabama and BYU. Every time Clemson has played a top 30 team, they have lost, okay? And Miami of Florida, they lost to Florida. They lost to BYU. But to their credit, They have been in those games, and I think the points are going to be at a premium today. It's a fantastic public fade on a Saturday. I'm going to take them plus the 4.5 here. And if you wait on this line, I think it'll probably steam up to 5 as well. Greg, Utah State here, number 23rd ranked in the country, 15-1, 6-0, perfect in the Mountain West. Grand Canyon, 10-6, 3-2 in the Mountain West. Utah State laying 5.5 points here on the road. Who do you like?
I love the Mountain West. I really do, because it's so deep, and you can, if you like betting underdogs, which I do, you can find a ton of value, especially home underdogs. We see a lot in the Mountain West where not only do they win, they win outright. So it takes the sweat off a little bit, as they say. Utah State is really good, but Grand Canyon is one of the, if you haven't seen a game there, I don't know if this is on television. I hope it is. Watch it, because they have a great student section. It's like you're in Phoenix. It's like good weather. These kids just come out and they go crazy for them. This is Coach Bryce Drew got thrown out of last game, if you didn't know, like a couple, I think it was about 9-10 minutes left against New Mexico. I think that actually, these guys are like, damn, he's fighting for us. And I think these guys come out and fight this game. Will they win? I don't know, but I'm going to take all the points here. I think it's a much closer game than what the line of 5.5 suggests. Give me Grand Canyon plus 5.5 in this one. Next game, number 1 team in the nation, Arizona at 4 o'clock at UCF. UCF's been really good at home this year, including beating Kansas, which, of course, now that Kansas beat Iowa State looks a lot better for UCF. Arizona's still favored by 9.5, total 165.5. Does the Knights have another big upset in them, I see?
Well, look, when you take a look at this game, you'll see 17-0 and 14-2 team, right? But we've never seen this UCF team truly take the next step. And we've been talking about UCF for a long time. But Johnny Dawkins has been there since 2017. They were 20-17 finally last year. They finally broke through that 20-win mark after a couple of years. This team beat Kansas State on the road. They're 3-1 in conference play. They have a pretty good NIL program in UCF. They're top 40 in offense. They got a pretty senior-laden team, huge win against Kansas at home by 6. I was very curious to see this line sort of come out. And now they've come out as Arizona minus 9.5. Arizona comes into this game beating Arizona State, 89-82. They did not play well in that game, to be honest with you. They had a bad first half. Then, they had a 26-11 free throw advantage, which certainly helped them. And I hate to, they're 4-0 as well. When you take a look at, historically when these two teams have met, they met last year and Arizona beat them 88-80. I was curious about the total too, which sat at around 165.5. I think the safest thing here is probably take the over. I like the fact that Arizona did not really shoot well to their potential in their last contest. I think they're going to shoot a lot better here. This is a team that after the TCU and Arizona State game prior to that had put up 101, 97, 99, 107 points. UCF, of course, rolls in 82-73 over Kansas State, but they are at home. They play great offense. This is a team that not too long ago dropped 86 on A&M, for example, and 93 against Vanderbilt. Give me the over here between Arizona and UCF. Craig, Michigan on the road against Oregon. Michigan 16.5-point favorite, 15-1, 5-1 in the Big Ten, number 4 in the team in the land. Big spread here. Oregon 8-9, 1-5 in the Big Ten, the inverse of Michigan. Who do you like here?
Remember, if you remember, I said after Michigan lost, one of my favorite betting angles is after a team goes more than 10-0 in college hoops, you play against them the next game. They did not cover again. Now, the second game back, that does not hold true. And they're facing an Oregon team without Shellstead. Their point guard, he's awesome. Like, if this kid was there, they could maybe even win this game. But without him, they just really are struggling. And I'm not getting in front of this Michigan now that they kind of got that game. Like, that next game is let's just get back to the winning ways. Now I think they put the hammer down. I do think Oregon's crowd will keep them in this early. So maybe this isn't even an in-game bet where you play wait till Oregon plays well early and you play it. But I actually think Michigan will pull away and win by 20. So it's not going to be on my card. I wouldn't go crazy on it, but I do think Michigan covers in this one. Next game we have Nebraska Northwestern, also at 4 o'clock. Of course, nice Big Ten matchup. Nebraska, number 8 in the country now, 17-0. Nebraska's favored by 5.5, total 148.5. This is in that range. I see that I like underdogs. Is this a Northwestern team that can get it done?
Well, 17-0 and 8-9. I mean, if they were asking a test about algorithms and calculus and pre-calc and trig, Northwestern would destroy Nebraska. Nothing against Tony George, but this is basketball. This total sits at 148.5. Northwestern's a fantastic school. I'm sure Nebraska is too. Not, but Northwestern's a really good school. And don't come at me. Go look at the average SAT scores. Like, I'm just going by the data. So don't come at me. Nebraska
or do come at me. It's okay.
Yeah, I mean, I'll just show you the SAT scores, average SATs for both schools. But Nebraska people aren't crazy. They know. 68, but a lot of great business people come out of Nebraska. 68-64 final score for Nebraska last time. Look, Northwestern, first of all, pretty surprising that this game is, set the way it is for the number 8 team in the land to roll in. And Nebraska being the number 8 team in the land and still undefeated is pretty remarkable. This team beat Michigan State at home by 2, beat Illinois on the road by 3. I mean, they've got a coach in Fred Hoiberg, who is known as the mayor, who came over from the Chicago Bulls and then Iowa State, took a 7-win team, and in a matter of, 7th year, 17-0. Just unbelievable. They beat the snot out of Oregon 90-55 as well. Northwestern, though, play Illinois close 79-68. They play Minnesota close. What does Northwestern do really well when they win ball games? When they beat South Carolina 79-71, when they beat DePaul, it was 81-79. They're outside the top 100 in defense, but they're top 60 in offense. And I love the fact they only put up 68 points in their last game. They had 33 at the half. I think they're going to shoot much, much better. I can't go against Nebraska here. But at the same time, I can't. I mean, 75% is riding on Nebraska. But the other thing that scares the bejesus out of me is that 83% is on the over. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to surprise you here. I'm going to take Northwestern here. And I think the only way to do that
is surprise. I like it.
Yeah, the only way to do that is, why is this line 5.5? I think Northwestern the other thing is Nebraska comes off a 90-55 game against Oregon. I think they're going to be feeling themselves a little bit here, thinking they're all so awesome. Don't forget, Northwestern nearly beat Michigan State on the road, too. They played Illinois tough, too. I don't know, man. They're the number 1 turnover team in the land, Northwestern is, so I'm going to take them, plus the 5.5. All right, Craig, North Carolina on the road against California. UNC only a 3.5-point chalk against Mark Madsen's team, who we're pretty high on this podcast. UNC is 14-3, 2-2 in the ACC, number 14 team in the land. Cal is 13-5, 1-4 in the ACC. And again, North Carolina is a minus 3.5-point chalk. Who do you like?
Well, UNC, I thought this road trip, they stayed out there. They played Stanford and lost, and they stayed out there. I thought they would actually lose this Cal game. Now that they lost to Stanford, I think they're not going to be overlooking Cal, and they're upset that they actually outplayed them. They just, down the stretch, it just kind of fell apart and gave the game away. I think that game taught them something, so I do like them to cover the 3.5 in this one. Next game, Arkansas at Georgia. Georgia's favored by 1.5. It's been all about the home teams here this year. When Georgia plays at home, they're pretty good. When they play on the road, not as good. We see Georgia favored by 1.5, total 179.5. What do you like in this one?
Georgia got caught looking ahead against Ole Miss, and they lost in a buzzer beater 95-97 as a 10.5-point chalk. They're going to be pissed coming in today because they're facing Arkansas, which is a team they were ready to play, who they've lost to in back-to-back years by scores of 68-65 and 70-75. So back-to-back 3-point losses. Coach Cal comes into town, coming off a monster win 108-74 against South Carolina. Georgia super ticked off after losing to Ole Miss as a double-digit favorite. I'm going with Georgia on the money line as they show up here on Saturday with a massive crowd in Athens. Craig, number 5, Purdue on the road against USC. Purdue is 16-1 and 6-0 in the Big Ten. USC not ranked, 14-3, 3-3 in the Big Ten. Purdue coming in as a 7.5-point road chalk. Who do you like here?
Yeah, I mean, this Purdue team is one of those, like, you get what you think you have, if you know what I mean, like when you get a veteran team like Purdue. But I think their ceiling, I don't know how I hope I'm saying this right. Their ceiling is just not very high. Now their floor is really high. Like, I just think, like, you know what I mean? You know what you're going to get. This is a Sweet 16, Elite 8 type team. Now, do I think that they can go win it all? I actually don't. Even though I love guard play that time of year, I just think the lawyer kid actually coached his dad coached at UC, so I worked basketball camps with this guy. And I mean, I love the family. His brother was also great at Davidson and Michigan State. I love everything about this team. It's just, I think their ceiling's not high. And I think USC actually has a high ceiling, but a very low floor. So what does that mean? I like USC plus 7.5. I do think Purdue can win. I just don't think it's going to be a blowout. Next game, Duke at Stanford. Stanford's coming off that big win against Duke's rival North Carolina. Duke's favored by 8.5, total 148.5. What do you like here?
Yeah, Duke comes into this game 16-1. They're the number 6 team in the land against Stanford, who is 14-4. Stanford is not ranked. Duke beat them 106-70 last year in a battle of smart people, it seems. And when these two teams face each other this time, Stanford certainly remembers getting getting the snot beat out of them last time. Number 15 offense, number 10 defense. Duke is nice win against SMU by 7 at home. They beat Cal by 15 on the road, and they're still out on the West Coast. Now they get to face Stanford and then come back home to play Wake Forest. Again, Duke's credit, they beat Florida, Michigan State, Kansas, etc. Stanford comes into this game beating North Carolina at home by 5 and beating Louisville at home as well. Stanford remembers getting the absolute tar beat out of them last time, and Kyle Smith was there. Kyle Smith remembers going to Duke last year and losing 106-70, and they were down 34-49 at the half, and it didn't get any better, and they just beat the snot out of them. I think Stanford remembers that. I like Stanford plus the 8.5 coming into this game. Craig, number 12, Michigan State here on the road against Washington. Michigan State minus 3.5-point favorite. Michigan State is 15-2, 5-1 in the Big Ten. Washington 10-7, 2-4 in the Big Ten. Who do you like?
What do they say? Defense travels, like football. Defense travels a lot in basketball too. And Washington would have a better chance, but injuries has been the story. They had those transfers from USC. I can't think of the name off the top of my head, but it's when these guys have played, they've been great. When they've been fully healthy, they just haven't been that lately. And when you play Michigan State, you better be fully healthy because these boys are bringing their lunch pails. This is like a hard hat team. They just beat you up on the offensive glass. I think Michigan State's just too physical, too much. Tom Izzo is too good of a coach to let a letdown. Give me Michigan State minus the 3.5 in this one. Next game, of course, another ranked game, BYU and Texas Tech. Maybe possibly the best game on the board tonight. I think both of these teams have arguments that they can make a run. We've already seen Texas Tech beat Duke. Texas Tech's favored by 2.5 here, total 158.5. I was actually a little surprised. I thought this might be a pick'em game, or maybe -1, but Texas Tech's minus 2.5. What do you like?
Yeah, look, BYU is 16-1. Texas Tech is 13-4 coming in here. You have a situation here with Texas Tech 72-67. They beat them last time. In fact, BYU has never beaten Texas Tech in college basketball. So I think that certainly will remember that for BYU, and they will take this as a challenge. I mean, if you're the number 11 team in the land going on the road to beat the number 15 team in the land, certainly gives you credibility. BYU comes in this game. Nice win against Utah on the road by 5, beating TCU. Their only loss against Connecticut by 2 on the road. If they don't lose that game, they are a perfect 17-0. Texas Tech rolls in, having beaten Utah by 14 at home. But this is a team that lost to Houston, Arkansas, Purdue, and Illinois. Nothing to be ashamed of. But keep in mind that Texas Tech is outside the top 280 in free throws. BYU is much better at top 100. Look, man, any team that can go into Connecticut and lose by 2, they have my respect. I'm taking BYU here, plus the points, plus the 2.5 against Texas Tech. All right, Craig, last 2 as we close out. Louisville on the road against Pittsburgh. Louisville is a coach that you know pretty well, actually. You used to play college ball against him. 12-5, 2-3 in the ACC. Pittsburgh is 8-9, 1-3 in the ACC. Louisville laying 6.5 points on the road. Who do you like?
This is a tough spot for Louisville. I mean, they haven't been playing the greatest of basketball. And the funny thing is they had Duke look like beat in the first half and then got blitzed the second half and didn't even cover, didn't even keep it close. And then they followed up with I won't say a lackluster performance, but it was a little bit. They barely beat BC, had to pull away late to win by 13, but it was much closer than that. And then you followed up. They were never in that game against VC or UVA. Virginia handed it to them. Now they have to go on the road. I think that spells trouble. This is a Pitt team that, they're not that good, but they've played a couple teams like Clemson pretty close. They played for, I think it was Virginia, the other one. I think this is a tough spot for Louisville. They're just 1-3 straight up and against the spread on the road. Give me 6.5 plus Pitt in this one. Now, last game on the board, Gonzaga and Seattle. This could be a good matchup. Gonzaga is one of those teams that, we've seen it. They looked great last time out, winning by 22 or something like that. But this is a much tougher spot, in my opinion, that you face Seattle. I think Seattle's the 3rd or 4th best team in this league. I don't see a line. I do think the line will be around 17, between 15 and 17. So what do you like if we're assuming that is the line as before it comes out?
Yeah, Gonzaga beat them 80-72 earlier this year, and it was in overtime. And that was a contest where they were down 29-37 at the half. Seattle sort of had them on the ropes there. And then Gonzaga obviously shot 4 for 15 from three-point land. That game was slated at 155.5. And that game went under even with overtime, which was fascinating. So now Gonzaga comes in. They're going to be massively favored here. And it's a team that beat Washington State 86-55. Now they got to go on the road. And nearly, I mean, let's face it, Gonzaga nearly lost to this team in overtime at home, which is really bad. And they were coming off a nice win against San Diego on the road, and they just let that success kind of get to their head. Seattle's Chris Victor, has had 3 years where he had 20 wins or more. So he's a heck of a coach. This team lost to Oregon State, St. Mary's, and Gonzaga, but then beat San Diego at home recently. Final score is 75-64. Not a very good offense outside the top 240, but very good defense, top 40. I think what happens here is Gonzaga is going to be a bit of surprise from what happened last time. They're not going to take them lightly this time. I think they're going to come in. They're going to roll them here, and I'm going to lay the points here on the road, as I think Gonzaga rolls by about at least 17 or more.
All right, so that's what we have for today. Don't forget, if you want to get on our top plays, I'm going to have a 3-pack of college basketball today. IC's going to have a top play today, and we have both been absolutely tearing it up in hoops play. So get in on it. It's docsports.com/Craig Arun. As you see here on the screen, just type that in, or the link will be in the description, and get in on the college basketball pass for a week. You get both of us for $99. That's usually $99 a piece. Good luck. See you again tomorrow.